Hello and welcome, and thank you for your interest in this documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York, covering the time from 2011 back to 1963 when the group was established. This is segment 2 of the 2010 to 1963 part of the documentary. The documentary actually consists of 2 parts. This part covers the time from October 2010 all the way back to December 1963 when the group was established. The other part covers the time from November 2010 through December 2011. We'd invite you to look at the segments in that other part also. There are 7 segments in this part of the documentary that covers the time from October 2010 back to December 1963. This first segment is an introduction and gives an overview. The next 3 segments are about the presidents, and in most cases there's a description of the presidency and then an interview with the incumbent who was president at the time. Segment 2 covers the presidents from 2011 to 2006. Segment 3, the presidents from 2006 to 1993. And Segment 4, the presidents and LOCSECs from 1993 to 1963. Segment 5 has information about other positions and some of the other noteworthy members of the group. Segment 6 has information about some of the events of the group, also about the newsletters, which were the main means of communication until the digital media came aboard. There's also information about American Mensa and the Mensa Education and Research Foundation, just in case anyone is not totally familiar with them already. And it includes references that were used in preparing the documentary. In segment 7, there is information about the methodology used in the research and preparation of the documentary. This is very important to the author because it goes a long ways towards assuring and explaining the authenticity of the documentary. Segment 7 also includes acknowledgments of the many people who contributed to the research and preparation of this documentary. It also gives a focus to the heritage of Mensa of Northeastern New York and includes the reflections by the author after having completed the research and preparation of the documentary. The other part of the documentary relates to the years 2010 to 2011. And we'd invite you to look at some of the segments of that part also. So let us begin now with a welcoming by President Rob Salkin.
Hi, my name is Rob Salkin. I'm the president of Mensa of Northeastern New York. Welcome to the first 46 of 48 years of the history of Mensa of Northeastern New York, as put together in a documentary form by Kellogg. There's also a second part, which covers my term in office, beginning on November 1st, 2010. Enjoy and keep in touch.
When we talk about the listing of presidents and LOCSECs, we're really talking about the lead position or the chief executive officer of Mensa of Northeastern New York. And from the present time, 2011, back to November 1, 1996, the term is president for this lead position. But from the time of October 31, 1996, back to the beginning of the group in December 1963, it was LOCSEC. And LOCSEC is short for local secretary, and that's the way American Mensa was originally set up. So let's take a look at the presidents from 2011 back to 1998. For each one of them, we're going to have an introductory discussion, and then we're going to have an interview, a videoed interview of each of them.
At this point, I'm going to just read the listing of presidents and Loksaks, because after this we'll have an individual slide for each one of them. Rob Salkin began as president on November 1, 2010. Prior to that, Andrew Heffernan, Leo Kellogg, Judy Keating, Richard Rakowski, Ron Norris, Joe Manuel, Dick Pansel, and the title of the lead position changed from Loksak to president on November 1, 1996, the same day that Dick Pansel began as president. Prior to that, there was Katrina Lebrun,
and prior to Katrina, there was Dar Novak, Peg Shambo, Dar Novak on his first term in office, Marty Berman, Roy Schneider. And it was while Roy was the Loksak that the name of the group was changed to Mensa of Northeastern New York from the previous name of Capital District Mensa. Prior to Roy, Dick Boone, Willard Hoyt, and Joe Manuel. And Joe started the group in 1963. Rob Salkin is the 17th president of Mensa of Northeastern New York, and he's the current president. Now, most of this multimedia presentation we're looking at now relates to the time from October 31, 2010, all the way back to the start of the group in 1963. However, we've included the current president, Rob Salkin, because he is the one who persisted in requesting that this multimedia presentation, in fact, the whole documentation about Mensa of Northeastern New York, he persisted in having it created. And we actually have an interview of Rob Salkin as president, and so we'll proceed right now to that.
Hello, Rob Salkin.
Hi.
You're president of Mensa of Northeastern New York. A lot of times we call that MONY. You became a Mensan in 2009, in July, and then you became a membership officer of MONY in November of 2009, and president a year later in November of 2010. When you became the president, what was your vision for MONY? What was your first major goal?
Well, I wanted to continue the momentum that Andrew Heffernan, the most recent past president, started. Getting the ball rolling with more Gen X and Gen Y involvement. As membership officer, I started a Facebook group, and I wanted to keep pushing membership on that to make sure that members would see that other members were attending events and would want to show up, and we'd have more events and more people attending events.
Did you distribute any materials as a promotion device? And did you participate in any leadership development workshops?
I participated in more than one LDW. In fact, there was one in Albany before I was even an officer that I attended, and that encouraged me to get involved with the leadership in Mensa. There was also one in Vermont that I attended, and there was actually one recently in Mid-Hudson that I attended. And I went from attending LDWs as somebody learning about Mensa to attending LDWs as a speaker.
And I understand that you were on the planning committee for Mind Games. in 2011?
Yeah, I was the logistics chair for Mind Games 2011. Mind Games was held in Albany in April 2011. We held we had 300 people in attendance. We broke all the records, and we hope to continue that in DC this year. We're not involved with planning that, but many of us will be going down to visit them there.
Very good. That's significant. They had the most number of attendees at that. And one of the things that you'll always be known for in Moni is that you created the first ever regional gathering in Moni that Moni put on.
Well, yeah, we hosted Mensa of Northeastern New York's End of Summer Recharge, Labor Day weekend 2011. We're going to continue it in 2012. We had over 100 attendees. I think we had 135 as our final count. We expect many more this year. We had a great time from Friday through Monday. We had speakers, we had dinners, we had parties. We had a lot of people coming to have a great time, and it's really something that I think this chapter needed, and this chapter will continue doing it and will continue thriving because of it.
That was quite a number. You said there was 135 people?
Yeah.
That's a good sized crowd. What other activities have you had with other Mensa groups in the neighboring area, neighboring states, or what?
Well, I've attended many, but Moni has also held joint events with Vermont, with Mid-Hudson Mensa, and had many events with Canadians coming down and people actually from New York City driving way up towards the Canadian border for events up there. So we do reach out to neighboring groups. We attend neighboring groups' events, and they attend our events as well.
Do you have a continuing Mensa testing program?
Well, yes. We just got David McGregor appointed testing coordinator, and he's working on making sure that we have a regular test in place. That's something we were lacking before, but it should be in place very shortly, if not, if David hasn't already implemented it.
Andrew Heffernan was the 16th president of Mensa of Northeastern New York. His term of office was from 2008 to 2010. In his candidate statement before his election, he identified his three primary goals for 2009 as president: to host a leadership development workshop, to go to the annual gathering, and to meet every member of Mensa of Northeastern New York, ask them what they want from Mensa, and help them to get it. Andrew immediately began to show his great leadership talent. Andrew does it in a quiet way, but highly effective. He brought about a large increase in the number of volunteers and a significant increase in the kinds of Mensa events. And sure enough, in 2009, he did lead a leadership development workshop for Olive Region 1. And that was the first such leadership training event that was hosted by Mensa of Northeastern New York in quite a while. There was one in April 1997, and in those times they called it the Leadership Officer Training Session, LOTS. Some of the other things that Andrew brought about as president included making the newsletter more attractive, began using social networking. He did increase the membership and expanded the scholarships efforts. In addition to that, Andrew was the first member of Mensa of Northeastern New York who ran for regional vice chair, a part of American Mensa. and he was successful. Andrew was a very effective president.
Hello, Andrew Heffernan. You became a Mensa in October 2007, and in Moni, you became the coordinator of Odyssey of the Mind in July of 2008, and that same year, November of 2008, you became president of Moni. When you became president, you did a number of things. You modernized the newsletter, you put Moni on Facebook, you brought a lot more participation of members into Moni events, and through the social media and through communication with broadcasts via Yahoo, you really sent the information out. In addition to that, you organized and conducted a leadership development workshop in Albany for the American Mensa Region 1. That was the first one, or probably the first leadership development workshop that was ever hosted by Moni. And that certainly is the first one in recent memory. And you were on the planning committee for the 2011 Mind Games, and you were on the planning committee and the major initiator of the first ever regional gathering hosted in Moni. This is a great accomplishment already. When you became president, what was your vision for Moni? What was your major goal?
When I first became president, my vision was to bring the fulfillment that Mensa brought me to many more members, both members that were currently involved with Mensa, and to those who had not learned of Mensa yet. My short-term goals when I started as president were to just understand the organization. I was a recent member with just over a year of experience understanding Mensa, so I had a lot to learn. The Loksak before me, Leo Kellogg, he believed in having a lot of people engaged in the volunteer activities of our group. And I continued with that, and those volunteers really helped me learn the organization well.
Andrew, what were some of the kinds of events that you arranged while you were president?
As president, I helped empower our members for many more events. Games nights were very popular amongst our group. Exotic dining events. We went curling one afternoon. That was a lot of fun. And we've even gone on tours of industrial facilities, and that brought a lot of attention.
Did you have interaction between Moni and other Mensa groups?
One of my greatest experiences was when I interacted with Rhode Island Mensa. They hosted a leadership development workshop in 2008, and it really sparked my interest in leading within the Mensa organization. Many other contacts with Vermont and Massachusetts just very much helped me appreciate Mensa.
What was the Mensa testing like while you were the president?
While I was president, the testing coordinator, Joe O'Malley, took care of almost all of the responsibilities for testing.
I see. And did you increase the number of proctors, or did you have a variety of locations covered by proctors, or how did that happen?
Well, as you know, Moni is a very large group geographically, and so we had proctors across the group, and the National Mensa organization came out with a webinar type test or training program for proctors. So this made it much easier to get more proctors involved without long travel distance to testing.
Andrew, you are the first member of Moni who ever ran to be in the election for regional vice chair for Region 1. And you did that while you were the president, and you won the election. Well, we're going to see you and talk more with you about regional vice chair.
The 15th president of Mensa of Northeastern New York was Leo Kellogg. He was in office from 2006 to 2008. When he sought the position of president, in his election statement, he wrote that he would like to hold a variety of events throughout all of the territory of Mensa of Northeastern New York, and he would like to have area coordinators throughout that whole territory so that the members would have a local person that they could contact. That is someone fairly close to where they live, and also that other people and companies, media members, will be able to contact somebody in their local region. He also would continue the same level of testing, but would add proctors in new locations, at least 3 of them. And the fourth goal was to continue communication with all members and, of course, promote participation in the event. We wanted to enable every member of Mensa of Northeastern New York to volunteer to do something of interest to that member, regardless of where they reside. On his first day in office, he appointed 2 area coordinators for northern parts of the territory, and later on he appointed 2 additional coordinators. He organized and implemented a Mensa member recognition program. The Mensa membership recognition program provided to every one of the members of the group a certificate for their membership, and for those who have completed at least 5 years of membership, he gave them a pin that recognized their service and membership for every completed 5 years of service. In his last president's letter, he thanked everyone who had performed any function for Mensa of Northeastern New York. He named 25 of those functions, several of which were performed by more than one member.
Hello, I'm Leo Kellogg. I was president of Mensa of Northeastern New York from 2006 until 2008. Prior to that, I was an editor for 2 years, and also I hosted many local Mensa events. One of those events was a poetry reading in which 23 people attended, and most of them did a reading. When I was seeking the presidency, I had established as goals that I would want to continue the same amount of activities of the same kind, plus I would want to increase the number and variety of events and also participation. A major aspect of my plans was to increase the scope of activity throughout the territory of Mensa of Northeastern New York. We have many activities right around the Albany, Troy, Schenectady, Saratoga region, and we wanted to continue all of them, but we wanted to increase the activities in other locations. We were able to do that. We had dinners in Plattsburgh, in which members from Vermont Mensa participated, and also from Canadian Mensa around Montreal. We had a dinner in Malone, several around Saratoga, and we were able to appoint 3 area coordinators while I was president. We increased the number of proctors so that we could continue the same level of testing but increase the testing in additional locations. The Leadership Development Workshop in Rhode Island provided an opportunity to participate in that kind of developmental activities. Plus, within our group, we encouraged participation by the members in regional gatherings annual gatherings, and leadership development workshops. As we proceeded, my goal was to encourage every member of Mensa of Northeastern New York who wanted to do anything for the group to have the opportunity to do so. And this would continue the same kinds of activities that we have had already, but also would provide an increase in the variety of activities. One of the major things we did towards the end of my presidency was a membership recognition program. And in this program, every member received a certificate of recognition for membership completed in the Mensa group. And those who had completed more than 5 years received a pin for each completed 5 years of membership. This was a very good presidency. I enjoyed it, and I hope that future presidents will enjoy it as much as I did, and also I hope that the group will have the opportunity to increase the kind of activities and the participation rate among the members so that everybody will have a great time and appreciation from being a Mensan in Mensa of Northeastern New York.
Well, this documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York was prepared by Leo A. Kellogg, who was the first ever historian of Mensa of Northeastern New York. The documentary is copyrighted for and by Mensa of Northeastern New York, and all rights are reserved. Well, here's a listing of all the segments of the 2010 to 1963 part of the documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York. When you're done looking at this summary, just go ahead and shut off your video. And we thank you again for your interest in this documentary about Mensa of Northeastern New York.